Welcome back to my channel. In this video, we're going to be talking about the different people who might be involved in your salary negotiation. To know how you have to work with them, you really need to understand their roles, but also recognize what they can and can't do. This is video 5 in an 8-video series. If you want to watch all the videos in this series, then head to my channel and click on the Art of Negotiation playlist. When you're negotiating for a new job, you're going to be dealing with one of 3 different kinds of people. And it's really important to understand who you're dealing with so that you can customize your negotiation strategy and ask questions in the right way, knowing what they can and cannot say yes to. So the first type of person would be the hiring manager, the person that you're going to work for eventually. The second person would be an HR consultant, someone who works internal to the organization and manages the deal making, if you will. And the third type of person, which is a bit more tricky, and we'll talk about that in detail, is a recruiter. So if you're applying for a specialized position that's really hard to fill, or a senior executive position, you might be dealing with a third party who's been hired to recruit you. Across all of these people, they have one thing in common. Their mission is to get you to yes as quickly as possible and at the lowest possible price. I'm going to pause and I'm going to say that again. Their mission is to get you to say yes as quickly as possible and at the lowest possible price. They're not your friends. If it's the hiring manager, yes, that person wants to work with you, but their job is to get you to say yes as quickly as possible and at the lowest possible price. So let's go through each of those people one by one, and we'll talk about each of them in succession. So hiring manager, if you are talking with the person that is going to be your boss someday, this is a great opportunity to build rapport, to build a relationship, but also to build an expectation and start conditioning that person to know that you actually have some boundaries. You have some things that you are excited about and you're willing to share, and then you have some things that you will say no to, that are non-negotiables for you and that are really important for you to be successful in a role. So this is a great opportunity to build relationship, feel out the manager, and also know that if it's not a good fit, if you're getting the no feeling, you might want to reevaluate whether you want to even be in this negotiation. So the hiring manager has some advantages in that this is a person who can tell you about the work, right? So you have the opportunity to really customize your offer. So when we talk about like exactly how you go through a negotiation, there are things that you're going to emphasize about what you bring to the negotiation. Well, you're going to be able to emphasize your strengths as they relate to what that hiring manager is really looking for in the in the person that they're hiring. So you're able to customize and kind of align what you're saying with what they're saying they need. So it's a really great opportunity for intelligence about that person. It's also a great opportunity to feel them out with respect to flexibility that they offer. What's the work culture like? And, can I work remotely part of the time or all of the time? Can I work flexible work hours? Do I have the flexibility to get my kids to childcare in the morning? Those kinds of things are the domain of that direct supervisor, because they know what is acceptable and what is not within the organization. They're also probably very well aware as to whether they can support additional education. Maybe you want to go on and further your education or work on a particular designation. So they'll know whether that's something that they can support, both the time responsible, like the time that it would take to do that, as well as the financial consideration of that. In terms of salary, they will have a very good understanding of what range they can hire within. So they'll know whether they can say yes or no. They'll be able to tell you if you are completely out of base, if that's just not within the range of something that is acceptable within the organization. Where they don't have a lot of detail is in the detail of sort of corporate policy, if you will. And that's where the reverse is true for the HR consultants. So if an HR consultant is the person who's dealing with you, they are going to know the benefits inside and out. They're going to know the pension plan. They're going to understand if there's stock options and how that works. And so they're a really great person to talk to about the pricing out of your offer and what that really means over the long term, because they can actually provide you with the details so that you can convert some of those benefits into a monetary understanding for yourself. The HR consultant, though, won't be able to tell you much about the flexibility of the work role itself. And so often they may need to go back to the hiring manager and ask questions. So they'll also have a range within the salary within which they can hire. But most often, over a certain range, they have to go back to the hiring manager to seek agreement on that. They may make you feel as though that's a potential drawback and a worry that, well, I have to go and see if that's something they'd even accept, would be a really common way that I've heard it phrased. But it's actually more about the fact that they don't have the authority to say yes to that range. And so don't worry about it. Understand that they have limitations in what they can say yes to. And as we'll talk about in coming weeks, when you deploy your strategy and you maintain your outlook and you maintain the sense that a deal is still on the table and we're working towards something, there are always opportunities for give and take in that negotiation. You encourage them to go back and see what see what the hiring manager says. I would like you to follow up with the hiring manager and let me know what he or she says. So the hiring manager and the HR consultant are very similar in that they know different sides of things, and you may end up having to go back and forth between the two, or you might ask the hiring manager some details and they might say, oh, I have to get some more information, or let me put you in touch with this person who can give you details on that. It is okay to go back and forth between the two. The third type of person that you might interact with is that third-party recruiter, and these ones are tricky. They're going to use every trick in the book. So a third-party recruiter is brought on contract to secure the best person for the job at the lowest price. And sometimes, not all the time, but sometimes they're offered a bonus or almost like a commission, a finder's fee, if they're able to secure you within a certain range of a package price. And so they're really tricky in that they're really good. They're going to make you feel from day one like they're on your side. So you'll be going through the recruitment phase and interview phase, and they're going to make you feel like you guys are besties and that they're rooting for you. Chances are they're doing that with every single person that they've recruited. Their goal is to get the right person in front of the board for that interview and then get that person secured as quickly as possible. So don't be fooled by that. Certainly play into it for sure. Enjoy the attention, enjoy, the ego stroking that comes with a recruiter who's telling you that, your experience is really phenomenal and this company would be so lucky to have you. Don't discount that. The company would be so lucky to have you, absolutely. But just know that the recruiter has another agenda in mind, and that is obviously their own livelihood. So when you go into a negotiation with a recruiter, understand that they will have probably a very large range within which they can negotiate a package. So we're usually talking here again about senior roles, ones where the salary, the upper limit of the salary is pretty big, and the opportunities for additional benefits like stock options, educational support, a pension, those types of things are flexible and larger. And so they will have a range within which they can absolutely say yes to. They might make you feel like they need to go back and seek approval, but they'll typically have a range where they can agree to certain terms. And then they'll have some items where they just simply will not be able to speak to that. So again, things like what happens in the workplace on a regular basis, what kind of a team do you have? They won't be able to assure you that you'll have an administrative assistant to support, or that you'll be able to extend the size of your team to add a project manager. Some things, if you're negotiating, they will have to take back, whether it's to the board or the senior team, to be able to get approval for. But always, always, always remember, it doesn't matter who you are negotiating with. Their job is to get you into a position to say yes as quickly as possible and for the lowest possible price. Why? Because you are the best candidate for the job. They wouldn't be recruiting you, they wouldn't be negotiating with you if you weren't the best candidate for the job. Thanks for watching. If you want more videos on negotiation like this, then make sure you like this video and subscribe to my channel. Also, while you're here, leave me a comment. Tell me if this was helpful or how you plan on implementing what you learned. And if you want to support my work while you level up your negotiation skills, then head to the link below where you can purchase my negotiation guide. In the meantime, I want to thank you for watching. I will see you here next time.